Calling all beings, y'all. Let's get it.
Put your hands together. Put your hands together.
Welcome back to Calling All Beings, baby. It's the CABBIE-Roundtable. We about to get into it and show you what kind of talent is going down when we ain't got no guest. And there's plenty of talent for all of you. I'm your host, DJ, along with my co-host, the OG of Calling All Beings. Consider this, brother. Party people, put your hands together for North Carolina's own Money, Nathan Owings.
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all?
Man, put your hands together, Flair. Where you at, Debs?
I'm clapping.
Yes.
I'm clapping.
Yeah. Give it up for Nathan. And next, she's beautiful. She's intellectual. She's funny than your mama, your papa, and mine too. Put your hands together for the associate producer of Calling All Beings, Akashi Chris Mullins.
My
Give
name
up a
every
good
week. I love
Dracula.
it.
All right. This man is about as funny as I want to be when I'm sleeping at night and I go, I wish people laugh at what I have to say. And that's when I'm trying to be like the musician, the digital artist, the guy, the funny man of this show, the humorous antagonist that got nothing but love for each and every one of you. Party people, put your hands together for California's own Flarius Kevin, Stephen Greer's Flair.
Great.
Woo! Yes, we're talking
Hi.
about you, that guy.
How are
yes,
ya?
hi. Good. It's so
He's
good
right
to
there.
see you. Yes, give him a hug.
I like pie.
All right, next. You know what? The latest member to join the show, and certainly not the least important by any means. That would be me. But what we're talking about is a young lady that's about to start her own show under the Calling All Beings banner, and it's going to be called Deb's Data Dojo. So I want everybody to put their hands together for Maryland's own at a study of UAP's Deb. Woo!
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Give it up, Maryland state flag. Can't be messed with, man. It's the coolest thing going, man. Nathan, good evening.
Yes. Well, I mean, let's also welcome you, my good sir.
So, hey, it's me, DJ. You know, your
DJ.
meathead co-host. Hey, everybody. Thank you,
Co-host
everybody.
with the most, the man with the biggest heart, New York zone, Florida zone, the yoga master, not a disaster, the man with a plan, the reason for every season, Mr. DJ San Marco.
Thank you, Nathan. Oh my
I
goodness,
know him.
Nathan just did me up, man. He introed me. That was so nice, man. I wasn't expecting that. But anyway, yeah, this was really just honestly a chance for us to get together, but do it in an organized fashion. I think it's funny. Nathan and I had a symbiosis on this in that it could have just been a conversation, but our conversations get wild. We're laughing, we're interrupting it, we're tangenting all over the place. So we decided to do roundtable rules and show you what the Cabbie show, just self-contained, had what kind of game that we have. So you be the judge. We love you all. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, tell them what the rules are, man.
All right, so these are the rules, my fellow cabbies. This is a roundtable style. Everyone gets a chance to introduce a topic. Everyone gets a chance to reply to the topic. The introduction will be 2 minutes. The reply time frame will also be 2 minutes. If you don't use all your time, that is fine. You may defer your time to your co-host friend, or we can just move on to the next topic. It's not a big deal. It's Very relaxed around here, but we will cut you off. That being said,
Yes, that will.
I'm looking at you, Kevin. I will cut you
I have
off.
a feeling it's gonna be me. I'm just
You cut me.
So yeah, it should be pretty relaxed. There will be a little timer file. Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you're not. But we'll just keep it moving, keep it flowing. It's gonna be all good. So DJ, who is gonna start us off with our first topic? You, sir, please.
All right,
Kick it off
brothers
for
and
us.
sisters, and I'm on the clock. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was something that I've been getting into a little bit since we spoke with James Iandoli. What's up, James? And it's called remote viewing. And basically, my theory is electricity, and basically what I'm trying to do today with you guys is not to give an answer, but to ask a question. And I mean of the cabbies, and then also all of you out there as well. So with this, electricity is everywhere, even in the human body. Our cells are specialized to conduct electrical currents. Electricity is required for the nervous system to send signals throughout the body and to the brain, making it possible for us to move, think, and feel. And this comes from Amber Plant, February 2016, student at Columbia University. So the theory is, I was reading the study that Hal Puthoff did with SIR out in California with Pat Price, where he was able to, Pat Price was able to remote view at one point using only grid coordinates to a spot in Russia. So I began to think about HF frequencies. And HF frequencies, for those who don't know, are between 3 and 30 megahertz. And basically they travel up, they bounce off the ionosphere, and they travel back down to the receiver. At night, that band is even more narrow, but it's still, we're talking up to from 250 to 300 miles up. And then during the daytime, that field is expanded beyond 300 miles, okay? And so what I'm looking at is whether or not the hypothesis is, how can we distinguish, and this is something that Chris was telling me about. Oh, wait, it's telling me it's going to... It's telling me it's going to close this file. Let me see if I get that down. There we go. Okay. The hypothesis is this something that is bound to Earth? In other words, is this working like an HF signal? Or is it what we talked about earlier, Chris, now I'm going to have to bring back up my Word document, something that you and I spoke about, quantum entanglement.
Quantum entanglement.
Which has no distance constraint, okay? So what I hypothesize, if we could put a person on the moon to walk, and then we could have an individual like Pat or like a Joe McGonigal to see if they could connect with what that person is doing, something very unique during a moonwalk. If that's successful and they can remote view that individual, then we know that this signal is not bound by our gravity, it's not working off of something like the ionosphere or a different distance, troposphere or the atmosphere, and then in fact it can travel beyond Earth's gravity and Earth's atmosphere, and it could be done even on Mars with the lunar lander. So basically, that's what I want to know, and that's how I think I could test out this theory and come up with. Because if this person is able to connect with Nathan or somebody else, and they're standing in front of the Brooklyn Bridge, and they go, oh, well, I can see a bridge, so on and so forth, and they're able to build a scene around that individual and draw it out, but then he's able to do it through grid coordinates. And that tells me, at least I think, I'm hypothesizing, that he is somehow able to transmit his pulse to a grid
on
position.
The internet.
Grid position on the map. So anyway, are we past 2 minutes, Nathan? I don't see my timer.
But that's okay.
Cut me off.
Thought.
I'm sorry.
No, you needed to finish, and I liked it. It was good.
No, that's good. That's basically where I'm at. So I'm sorry, I didn't see the timer.
All good.
Go ahead.
My timer was malfunctioning anyway, so it's all good.
Okay.
All right. So how are we going in reply fashion? Is it going to be
yes, sir.
Kind of across the top? Okay.
Go the show. The show. You and
Excellent.
then Kashi. And, yeah.
Perfect. So I'll use the old timer file just because I know that one works for sure.
Yes,
Add
sir.
a little extra to it. So, I think that's a really cool idea. That reminds me of an experiment that I read about recently that I think Kit Green was trying to get involved with Uri Geller, and I think it was like one other person who had demonstrated some psi ability. But the concept would be to put two of these folks into MRI machines and have them sort of remote view each other, basically, and kind of like entangle their brains, so to speak, and then kind of see what's happening, in their brains through the MRI machine. So that was a way to scientifically, kind of test this hypothesis. So not quite what you were thinking, but along the similar lines there. And I think that's, if it is happening through a physical process of some kind, like it's a great sort of way to think about trying to figure this out from a materialist sort of standpoint. Now, if it's not happening through a physical process, because some people postulate that it's not, that consciousness is more the bedrock of reality. So everything that is material, our brains and atoms, all that stuff, is stuff that is laid on top of the consciousness field. And it really just kind of filters consciousness down. So if that's true, then there's no real physical process per se that we could test maybe to kind of verify how this mechanism actually works. But I love if we're not studying this or trying to figure out that, through a laboratory kind of test or something, we need to be doing it. I think that's a great way to think about it. So I'll defer the rest of my time to Akashi.
Cool. So this is so connected to, obviously, my name, Akashi Chris, right?
Yeah.
Into Akashic Records. I know he calls me all kinds of Akashi. Akashic Records, which the study of the Akashic field and how to scientifically explain this goes down that same path. It is about quantum entanglement. It is about here's where consciousness comes into it. And I love the way that you're putting it, because I think it's a combination of using your consciousness, like awareness, going back to all the practices and protocols we've discussed. CE5, right? Your awareness of awareness. Meditation is working up that awareness factor in your brain. I think there's something to that piece of it. But because of the quantum entanglement, if I understand it correctly, it becomes when something becomes so aware of you and you become aware of something else, and you're entangled beyond space and time.
Right.
And those
There's no distance.
There's no distance because it's all vibration based, right? So we're all in this big network. So I don't want to random. I saw the red dot.
No, you actually have 45 seconds. So keep going.
Okay, cool. I saw 13.
Yeah, it's a different timer, but
so,
I got you.
No, I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating and be great. I mean, we've seen so many people that I think all of it is tied together. The C5, the Akashic Records, the quantum entanglement, the remote viewing, that access. It's like you're plugging into a hub, a different hub. But it's your mind. Does your mind have to be ready? Can you really try to duplicate those experiments, strictly with science? That's the part that will be interesting, because I think it's a combination of a mind that's prepared for that, or that's more trained.
Mm-hmm.
So
And if anybody will yield me, I want to add another piece in,
go
but
ahead.
somebody has to yield me something.
I'm
So-
yielding my time to you.
Yeah, you have no more time. Flair has to yield to me.
Sorry.
But no, what I was going to say is that one of the parts of the hypothesis is they gave him grid coordinates. So if they didn't need for something to travel somewhere, they wouldn't have needed to give him grid coordinates. They could have just said, what's happening in Russia around this spot? But they gave him specific grid coordinates. So I don't know how you guys feel like that plays into it, but just something to think about. I'm sorry, Flair. Thank you for loaning me some time.
I think he's frozen in carbonite.
No, it's
Flair,
cool, man.
you there?
I have bad reception anyway.
There you go.
I switched to the other Wi-Fi
Can you
network
guys hear me
because
at all?
I had the same
we can hear
thing.
you. Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
You know, we might.
Well, actually,
you know,
I had
we-
a question about remote viewing. Like,
Hey, Nathan, let's do this.
Uh-oh.
Let's get Deb in there, and let's get Kevin to switch over. If he's on the 5 gigahertz, switch to the 2.4, because I just did that and it helped.
Cool. All
I
right.
did it at the beginning of the show.
Sounds good. Deb, you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, I just was
And then talk to Kev.
a few things I wanted to say. One, for those who are interested in looking at the remote viewing stuff, the Stargate files are available through the CIA. Really interesting things. They've been doing experiments with this since the 70s. And what I find, and something DJ and I have discussed before, is they may not fully understand the science behind it. There's a level of woo where they can't fully grasp it yet as to why it does seem to work. And they had done some research that showed that it worked. So, I mean, I would like to be able to put my finger on the science too. So I think I need to learn more about quantum entanglement because that's interesting to me. I've also heard something about like photons making each other react in some way without even being near each other. So there's just so many things that are going on that we don't understand. And as we know, the government was also doing something with psychoenergetics and psychotronics. So they were really studying those things for a while. And you can still join groups. There's still companies that do the remote viewing. So there's a validity to it.
There's a course.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on. And it does seem to be like you said, they like using the grids. They like to be pretty particular with it. So
Yeah. Hey, you got 30 more seconds if you want.
I just wish I understood more about it. I would like to know more about what quantum entanglement means specifically. So, Chris, could you tell us that in the time I have left?
Well, I mean, the idea goes back to string theory and original limitations of relativity. You know, theory of relativity is not being able to deal with the multi-dimensions, right? So quantum entanglement is really kind of embracing that super, and I'm not rather be squidding, but embracing that concept of superstring theory and thinking that all the quanta are individually, like they're dots, right, all over the place, and these strings are going to get together. I'm going to turn this off. Strings are connecting it together, and the resonance is what gets the messages across. That is also related and referred to when you talk about Einstein's thought experiments, where he would go into these trance-like states and put himself in a meditative state and supposedly be able to ask a very specific question and get that answer, you know, but there was all these rules to it. So I think that's all somewhat tied together. If everything that has happened will happen and is happening right now, it's out there and accessible, I think quantum entanglement would be the answer to, you know, how it works.
All right, we gave you extra time. We got to move on. We're going to have go backs. So during the go backs, we can readdress.
Kevin, you want to give it a shot, bud?
My question?
We wanted to give you a chance to respond to DJ's topic.
DJ.
I'm sorry. I love it.
Oh, yeah, Mr. DJ.
Hi.
So, remote viewing thing, like, has anyone ever remote viewed, like, the wrong person, like, naked? Or, you know?
Who?
What?
I'm wondering.
I caught the naked bit.
I mean, I'm wondering, like, if you're remote viewing and they see,
Okay.
goes on, you know.
All right, hang on. And take the timer off real quick, Nathan. We got to talk to Flair. Flair, do you have a dual Wi-Fi net in your house? Do you have two bands? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yeah, I'm on 5.1.
Okay, go on the other one. Go on the 2.4 gig.
Okay.
Hello?
I'll
Go on
be
the
back.
2.4 gig.
He'll be back.
Okay.
He'll be back. It's
All right,
good.
so he can, you know what, Nathan, you can start. Do you want to start with yours?
Sure.
And then we'll come back and we'll let Flair answer. He'll get a double shot of Flair. Who doesn't want that?
I love it.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to hear what this is about.
Extra strong. Yeah, mine's not crazy. It's a thought experiment. I wanted to get everybody's take on it. So if all, you know, kind of different theories notwithstanding of what these others might be, and we all know that there's a lot of different theories about what they are, but let's just, for the sake of argument, let's say that they are advanced intelligent species that has this tic-tac technology. We've talked about that before many times, what it seemingly can do in our atmosphere, incredible capability. If you're that intelligence, what are the things you would be looking for from humanity before you felt comfortable letting them have access to that technology or sharing any other technology with them from your super intelligent civilization? What are the things that you would need to see from humanity to give you comfort that it was okay to share that knowledge? So I'll yield the rest of my time to you, Chris. Go ahead.
Going to me?
Yeah,
Cool.
we're gonna go across, then we'll come around.
Okay, this will be interesting. So yeah, that's a good one because we are looking so bad as a species. And if anybody is looking at us on a, in there's pockets, we're all nice people inside, but sometimes the things that we just do are so selfish. And if they're looking at how we're using the weapons, if we're looking at how we're treating each other, and how some areas have more than others, and I would just look for some assurance of accountability, that it's okay for you to have it. And I think that that's probably why we don't, because we're not freaking ready. And I just think we're not ready. And that's why we don't have it. We're not responsible enough.
Love it. Anything else? You got a bunch of time left. Do you want to yield to Deb?
I will yield. Do you want to take a little bit, DJ? Maybe we'll bounce off because I'm thinking.
Well, let Deb go. I mean,
Deb.
It'll keep rolling forward.
Yeah.
So it's
Sorry.
So I have mixed feelings. I do think that they want something from our planet, but I don't know that they necessarily want something from us other than maybe our DNA. I think that's a resource for them. Maybe, you could go into that whole zoo theory, which I'm not a big fan of, but
right, but not all those other theories. Let's ignore those for a second. If just under my thought experiment, what would you be looking for from humanity to give us the technology?
You guys have reversed this question.
I know. So saying that they really did consider that, because that's the part I'm having a hard time getting past, whether or not they would consider it. I guess I would say that I don't know. Like we really have to stop having war amongst ourselves, right? I think that it's pretty clear that they're monitoring what we're doing with our nuclear weapons. They're probably going, "Oh, let's just say it, these idiots. Why are they playing with something that can destroy the whole planet?" Right? So that might be very specifically what they're looking at. The nuclear arms. If we were not using that, if we were not trying to power things with that, they might be more forward with us. I think that honestly, that would be the tipping point, right? If we could just eliminate that, because anything other than that, isn't as damaging.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. All right, DJ, you got some more time there. You got all your time and her time. So.
Well, you know what? Let's go to Kev, and then I'll come back around.
Kev?
Oh, Kev didn't get to hear the question.
Yeah.
So okay, so I'll do it. So, Kev, we're going to come back to you in a second. Just hopefully your stuff's good, and we're going to give you Nathan's question. But basically, Nathan, everybody, kind of came around to where I was going, which was, if I were them, I would want to see that we're being responsible with the environment that we've been given, with the water, with the land, with the flora and fauna, and all these sorts of things. Because I would say, well, if I give them this technology that we have with the Tic Tac, and they apply that to a rocket system, well, then we have mutually assured destruction. It'll just come, but the first person that, well, actually it won't even be that, because they'll launch, and by the time you figure that out, you're already gone. So I would think that they're looking for markers of maturity, markers of a certain earthbound responsibility with the entire of the climate, and saying, that there's something that's important to me that's greater than my own desires as an individual, the way that I'm going to manage my smog and all these sorts of things. And now what I see, at least around here, is people are taking all the things that would help keep the air clean off their vehicle and making them louder. And so that doesn't show that you really care about the environment. So I don't think we're very responsible. That's probably what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
In my opinion.
Can
No,
I
I
add
like
one
it.
to it
Yeah,
that I
sure.
did not think about? Our ability to really unite.
Mm.
Because, think about if you're a company, if you think from a corporate perspective and you're going to acquire a company, do you want to acquire a company in which is gelled, or do you want to acquire a company that's broken and that nobody talks to each other and you're going to have to reinvent the wheel? I think that they're going to have to see some unity within us.
Mm-hmm.
To even us look like a package that they would even want to partner with, in my opinion. So
No, that's great.
All
That's
right,
great
so
insight.
Nathan, do you want to restate the question for Flair?
Sure. Yeah. So, Flair, my question was, ignoring all the different theories that exist about who they are and who the others are, let's just assume they're an advanced intelligence, an advanced species, and when they have this tic-tac technology, what are the things that, if you were that advanced species, you would be looking for from humanity as a whole before you'd be comfortable giving or sharing any of that technology with us?
Yep. Well, I can answer that question.
Yeah.
I think that to get all that little technology into those tiny mints, I think that's where the answer is. I think if we figure out how to do that,
I love it. Yes.
that's it.
Compress the technology into the tic-tac.
tiny mints.
Into the candy. Oh yeah.
But then you have to get it
Gotta
in the box too, right? It's not just the mint; it's also in the box.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
Those are details.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
so
Details
now
for Abby.
That's right.
all right, so now we're back to, I believe we were at where were we, Nathan? So basically we're at Akashi's topic.
We want to give Kev time to respond to your question.
Yeah, go ahead, Kev. Would you like to talk about start the clock, and then Kev, if you would, or if you want to talk remote viewing with me, this is your time, brother.
Yeah. So, did you research any remote viewers? Like, I'm wondering if they've had any awkward accidents, like remote viewing somebody they didn't mean to remote. Like, I need to know this. Like, if I'm in the shower, do I need to wear clothes? I mean, should I hide my credit cards? Like what is safe? My friend.
I know Elizondo, man. I mean, they said he used it. He could be watching you shower. I don't know. All right,
Lou?
he's coming in so broken
That you?
tonight.
I am.
I'm so funny.
Well,
You know, Kev, the answer to your question is yes. You do need to be careful. Keep your credit cards in those little security sleeves that you get from Amazon. Watch in the shower, and that's all I can say. Be careful. Be secure.
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Akashi Chris.
Hi. Hold on.
Your topic.
I know you have some tech stuff, so once you get set up,
Yes,
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
gonna
we'll
get
kick
it set
in.
up. So hold on. Let me get this going.
And I'm going to keep
Okay.
a separate timer off screen.
I
for
have
you.
multimedia presentation.
Cool.
Anyway,
Puerto
there's
Rico's
gonna be a
own.
point, and when you get there, you're gonna go, "Whoa, okay, she's got a point." So is it sharing?
All right, here we go. I got you.
So so submit it for your approval. Today we're gonna take a journey through the ancient structures. They're silently screaming, "Hello, are we invisible?" Martians. Like back to, anyway, we'll explain later. So our first stop in our little journey is going to be Pumapunku. Pumapunku, hard to date. It's about 2,000 years old. It's 13,000 foot elevation. Is above the tree line. Those boulders that you see right here are about 100 tons each. And look at the exquisite engineering and manufacturing precision of this thing. And think about the quarry that those came from are downhill. Second, pyramids everywhere. Similar structures all over the world, some identical in design, from Khufu to Chichen Itza. You can see stuff that just makes sense. And it's not just the triangles, they're very specific structures. Focus on alignment with the stars and seasons, but what was their true purpose? Third stop, Gozek Circle. This one is in Germany, 4900 BC, so it's older than Stonehenge, so I wanted to show it. But notice the patterns, because you're going to see them here again. Sun setting with the winter solstice and the meridian. Next up, my favorite, Göbekli Tepe. Turkey, the hill of the navel, and that's what it really means, about 12,000 years old, spiral structures with pillars and symbology that has not yet been deciphered. It was buried purposely for reasons that are still in question. They're thinking potentially was catastrophism or just concerns about asteroids, etc. Only a small part of it has been excavated. I wanted to show you something because at the beginning in Pumapunku, I don't know if you remember the H's, but the H's are right here again. So just for reference, and then which takes you back to Bolivia. Right down the street from Pumapunku is Tiahuanaco. About 15,000 years old, is let's see, believed to be a temple. The gate of the sun is right here. The interesting thing about it is the depiction of the many faces that don't seem to match the people that were part of that area at the time. So my conclusion or my question to the group is, where did they come from? The theories, we got the ancient astronaut theory, right? Or ancient civilizations that are keen, advanced astronomers, so in tune with the Earth, stars, and seasons, consciousness that they tapped into power that we don't understand. Therefore, explaining the power grid, pyramid theories, the travel around the globe, engineering skills, energy in the stones, resonance, and other technology to transfer and create such structures. I'm done.
Love it. Love it. All right. So let's start with DJ. You want to say something?
No,
Yes, I know. Round of applause. Masterfully put together.
I messed up on the time, didn't I? Went way over.
Just a little bit. You can have some of my time.
You're
though.
great.
No,
So,
it's
Kevin, you want to take a response to that? Kevin?
Yeah, sure. So the H stones, I noticed there's also a lot of those H. The H's at Göbekli as well. Also, I've seen the H's in it's also a rune in the Norse mythology, stuff like that. Do you think maybe connected?
A rune.
Oh.
It's a rune. Yeah. Great super culture at one point.
Yeah, we are missing a lot of flair here, Ben.
I'm
The
so sad
technology.
because
I
this is
know.
so good because he
I know.
knows this stuff so well.
I know.
Breaks my heart.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can you go off?
Let me pass my time.
Yeah, you could go. You could try cutting your video. Just
Could
to
you
do
cut
audio.
off your video and just do audio? And I
That's
think
a good
the
idea.
bandwidth is going to get better, sweetie. And I'd rather do that. 'cause
give
I
us
want-
give us a test 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
We're still getting a little bit of a delay. Did you switch over to the 2.4 gigahertz network?
I did. I got one more. Try.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be a terrible idea just because we're literally missing your content. We're not able to hear you. So we're going to have to press on to Deb. I'm really sorry about this for the cabbies out there because this individual is an integral part of our show. He's knowledgeable. He's hilarious. And
Oh, you could try it, yeah.
and
Somebody
unfortunately,
suggested to have him call in, DJ.
I don't know if we have that technology.
Yeah, I
Nathan
don't
would
think
have
we
to
can
speak
do
to
it.
that.
Yeah, I don't have that set up. So unfortunately, Yep.
Yeah. The only thing, he could use his cell phone and come in on StreamYard on his cell phone if he thinks
could.
that if he has he might have 5G there. That would be better than this, right, Nathan?
Yeah. If he wants to use his cell phone to use the same link, he could come in that way. Yep.
Okay, so while Deb's taking this question, Nathan, if you could just communicate that to him and maybe that, because I really, it breaks me up that we're missing his content because I know it's hilarious and he's worked hard on this. So,
Absolutely.
Deb, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the idea that we have these ancient astronauts, right? But I recently read an article from an anthropologist that scolds us for thinking that way. Their viewpoint is that these ancient civilizations were perhaps as smart as we are now. And if it's like we're judging them as being less than sometimes, like not you guys, of course, but like people in general, and by diminishing them and saying aliens must have taught them, right? So I think I have mixed feelings. That's another perspective to think that we were also just really, really smart, but the coincidences are so interesting, like the pyramids everywhere, right? And some of the artwork, which is so representative of what we're dealing with now, that's been going on for centuries. It really clues me into something. Also, the story of Prometheus and even Lucifer, how they helped humanity and they got in trouble. They fell from the sky, helped humanity, got in trouble. You kind of wonder, why do we have that story? Why do we have that artwork? Why do we have these patterns? The only other possible thing I could come up with is an even more ancient civilization, a common ancestor that everyone branched away from. That's the only other possibility I can consider. So those are just some thoughts I'm throwing out there.
Yeah, that's great. You got 20 seconds if you want to keep going.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just wanted to know if you had also looked into the Asian ancient civilizations a little bit more, because, I just touched a little bit on India, and it's fascinating. They also have sky gods, some of the gods are sky gods.
We got 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And the reason we got to do this is because when we bring on guests and they say, well, you guys didn't follow the clock, why do we have to?
Keep it tight.
We're going to have go backs, though.
That's
You're
right.
going to be able to revisit any topic you want. Every one of us will get to do that. So I'm on the clock.
Take it. Yeah, hit it, man.
So, this was really fascinating. I wouldn't take that view necessarily that it's an affront to our ancestors. They may have been aided, but as Chris told me yesterday, I believe, that these stones are not available in the local landscape up at 13,000 feet of MSL above mean sea level, and somehow they got these stones up there from quarries that were, I don't know, maybe 13,000 feet below. So they're huge, and the technology today doesn't necessarily exist to do that without, trucks or something like that. I don't even know. I think they feel like the pyramids would be difficult to build today even. So I think it's quite possible that they were aided at some point, and that feeds into the whole Lou Elizondo theory and theories that other people have had, that 70,000 years ago our DNA was enhanced, that they were already here, that there was evidence of writings in different historical artifacts and artwork that depicts something that looks like a saucer or a spaceship. So am I doing good, or I have...
You're good. You have 40 seconds.
Okay.
You get 30 seconds beyond when it goes red. Yep.
Okay, so in that case, I feel like it is possible, and I don't think it's an affront to those peoples that you spoke of, and you pointed out all those similarities. The H is absolutely amazing. How did that H get on 2 different continents? Unless, was it when we were all, all those continents were in one piece? I don't know, but I think it's reasonable to assume now, based on DNA and so forth, that perhaps there was, I don't even want to say an intervention, but maybe they were taught something that they were able to then utilize.
Like it. Yeah, it's a fascinating topic, and it's always, I think, like, intrigued me, just these common structures in our ancient past. And it's strange, too, how our archaeology seemingly continues to discover that our civilizations are older, or human civilization in general is older than we previously thought. So I think what that at least tells me is that we don't know nearly as much as we think we know about our ancient past. We make a lot of assumptions based on what scant evidence is there. And we're also very good at, coming up with hypotheses to kind of tie things together. And things that may not actually be related, we may make them related. We're just very good at doing that. One thing that the whole topic though makes me think about is the way in which mysteries drive innovation. So regardless of whether or not the technologies may or may not be like from the same source, what I think is really interesting about them is the way in which the existence of them, their very existence, sort of challenges the human mind to stretch beyond its normal parameters. So these are giant structures, require tremendous feats of engineering, mathematics, geometry. There's astronomical alignments. And so just by the virtue of them existing, we are looking at them and going, like, what does this mean? And so then you have all of these sort of theories and sciences basically that kind of spin out of just asking that question. And so it sort of makes you think about artifacts in general. So anytime you stumble across an artifact that you don't know what its real purpose is, our minds are then tuned toward coming up with things for it, and those things may or may have nothing to do with what it actually was for, but may end up creating new science. So it's this, in a way, it's like this like catalyst to future discovery. And what if it's left for that very purpose, like just to kind of like tantalize us and intrigue us and keep us moving forward?
Great one. Bravo, Nathan. There's a lot of meat on the bone there for me, but it's not my turn. It is the turn, however, of...
Can I just one thing? I just want to...
You're going to have go-backs.
Okay, I just want to make sure people didn't misunderstand my actual final hypothesis.
Oh.
It wasn't that it was ancient aliens. I was actually leading towards the ancient civilizations that could have been here before us in a missing history. So I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstood, that I'm assuming that aliens came in, because that's a sin.
Right.
I'm not assuming that either.
Something. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm like a disclaimer.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
It's natural for us to try to piece things together because we don't know. There's no other, as humans, that's what we do.
Exactly.
Hilarious Kevin. What do you got for us, brother? Are you there? You look great, I'm sure.
Unmute, babe.
He's on mute. Let's see if he'll come in.
Kev, you're on mute. Kev.
All right. Well, let's go to Deb. Wait. Hold on. Maybe he's here.
I'm setting up, man. I had to change rooms. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Studio quality. It really is.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I still got Sorry,
you want us to go to Deb first and come back to you?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. So, Deb,
you guys ready for my topic?
Let's do it.
Okay. So very similar to what DJ was talking about, I'm also interested in the body and the electrical aspect, because when we talk to people about C5 and consciousness and remote viewing and out of body, that seems to be an underlying thing. And it occurs to me that we may be somewhat like beacons or antenna that are attracting the phenomenon to us. And I actually watched some videos about it. I've watched videos where they talked about how we actually emit photons from our body, and they did research to see the points in the body that this light comes out. I watched videos about something called a biofield, where there's space around us about 6 feet out that is indicated is, being emitted from our bodies. So we're like little antennas walking around. And I'm wondering, of course, if that can attract the phenomenon, or if that can be used in a way to communicate, or if that's even what they're interested in the first place. Because, there's been conversations about, are they seeking something from us? And is it something like that that's kind of attracting their attention? So that's what I have to say about that. I'm really interested in that.
All right, Deb. Fantastic. I'm not sure what that had to do with Chris's topic, but I love it. Flair, you're back. We can see you. Yes, we can. Yeah, you're not. Oh, this is great. We just got struck with gold. Okay. The only way I can think to do this, Nathan, is that Flair's gonna have to do his topic.
I think that's the way we should do it. Yeah.
Okay, Flairius Maximus, man, you are on, brother. All right, you're on.
Okay, my turn.
It's my turn.
I'm gonna share a screen. Okay.
All right, I'll let you get set up. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not really on right now. Okay, you have to give me a second. So how's it going today, guys?
It's going good. How are you, Flair? It's so good to see you. And actually, I think we're gonna hear you. I think.
I hope so.
We hear you.
You hear me loud and clear? Okay, so share screen. We're live. So today I'm talking about back at Tabby. So here it is. Can you all see this?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Can you hear me? Testing. So go back to the
We can
Tabby.
hear it.
You can't?
No, you're good. Go. Yeah.
You can't?
Keep going.
Oh, you guys hearing me here. Okay, so it dates back to the last ice age, and it is approximately, 12,000 years old. Some people say 10, 11. It is 6,000 years older than Stonehenge. Okay, the reason why I think it's interesting is because it rewrites history, okay? Because the quackademics say that humans were hunter-gatherers at the time, not capable of building 20-ton megaliths. They had, stone tools. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to build those with stone tools. So my question is, who was building megaliths during the last ice age? All right. So I'm going to go on to the next screen. Here we go. Can you see this one? With the UFOs and the...
No, we don't see that one.
Mm-mm.
I don't see that one.
You may have to reshare the next image or the next.
All right. I'll figure this out. Smart time here. I'm going. Sharing. Page 2. So what I use some really high technology, okay? Very high tech freeware. And what I did was I put a roof on it because, I theorized it probably has a roof. And it just so happens that roof looks like a UFO, right? Like a flying saucer. Whoa. High tech, right?
I'm glad you went with the
Interesting.
metal roof, though. Yeah,
Yeah, durable.
Right?
you
Isn't
have
that
to
cool?
replace those shingles and
Ancient
stuff.
landing pad. It is. That's my 32U. Was it an ancient landing pad? Possibly. So, zoomed out. Can you see the next slide? Here's my next slide.
No, but
Right
hold
there.
on,
There again.
Kevin. I actually got you covered. So let me do it. I can share for you. I actually have you ready to go here. So
So, I'll just say, sure.
You can just do.
I'll make a little.
You can just
happy
say
sound.
slide. Oh,
So here you go. So side view. So I zoomed out, with the UFO on top. It looks really familiar to me. I mean, do you guys see what this might be? I'm seeing it go Beckley Tepe. I'm seeing a connection here, maybe. Maybe a restroom, maybe an ancient restroom. Okay, next slide, please.
it's right outside
All right, so here-
Albuquerque. I've been there. Sorry.
Oh, that's the wrong slide. What did I do? Okay, that's bad. Don't do that slide.
I'll do that slide. This one.
Oh, here we go. So we got proof on the pillars. You've got one pillar, he's holding his stomach. That's the universal sign for I gotta use the head, right? All right. So we got another pillar maybe coming. I mean, another slide coming up. Do you have another?
Is it the last
Or
one
me.
that I had? Is it this one?
Oh. Okay. Well, we might be missing a slide. Anyway.
That makes it even better.
We'll have to use our imaginations on the slide.
This was my first flying saucer. I thought that was really cool.
That
It's
is
very cool.
But yeah, okay,
So-
that's my theory. When we go back, I'll show the rest of my slides when we do the call back. So
go backs. Yeah, during go backs, we can hit it up. Oh my God! All right, Deb, you go first. the Göbekli Tepe as a bathroom. You say what, Deb?
Yes. No, it's true. We do actually seem to really have a thing for that shape. And then pagodas also, right? The, the pagodas often
True,
have that
true.
shape on the top.
so, yeah,
So it's a good point.
they do.
I don't have
Brilliant.
anything else for that. I'm ready to pass my time.
Oh,
You're gonna
all
yield
right.
your time, okay?
Go
So
for it.
so you are Deb. Just so I can, being that you're yielding your time to me, you are ready to accept that Göbekli Tepe was nothing more than an ancient bathroom by the side of Route 40 in Albuquerque.
I'm just saying that there is a pattern. We do really like that shape. That's all I can say.
Kev, I don't know. You've wowed us once again. You've left me. I feel like verklempt again. I never thought, since whatever Chris has told me, I never thought of Göbekli Tepe could be a facility for relieving Nathan. I don't know how to say it, but
The facilities.
yeah, it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. I yield the balance of my time to Nathan.
I think it's fantastic. I think, in fact, I've seen not with Göbekli Tepe perhaps, but with Stonehenge, some artistic renderings that they think it did have a roof of some kind, metal, or sorry, not metal, but a wooden structured kind of cloth type roof on it. So, and surely a structure of that size or of this size would have needed a restroom, right? I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Come on. And a full day of rituals and you're not going to take a bathroom break? I mean, seriously. So it's at least got
Who
it
do you
one.
think invented restrooms?
The the corruption of Nathan is complete. He is totally bought into this ridiculousness.
I think it's a very plausible theory and I'm here for it. So
Cool.
I think you've done a fantastic
right.
job.
Oh man,
complete.
Akashi, Chris, who is better played? I'm sorry, Nathan. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you keep you. I yield the balance of my time, Chris. Please take.
All righty then, my friend.
Former friend.
Actually, so my opinion of Göbekli Tepe is just a little bit different, but because I am very open-minded, I'm willing to see kind of a morphing of two ideas since we made such a great team. So first of all, I believe the spirals are not really the bathrooms, although I do see how, in rural areas, a lot of the bathrooms are in that spiral mode, like outside restrooms. So I can open my mind to that. I'm very open-minded. I believe now here's another fun fact from the Vulture Stone, which is Pillar 43 and Enclosure D. When you crouch there, you can actually see Deneb, which is part of the Cygnus constellation. So I'm thinking about taking your theory and saying, take the roof off, the entertainment for the bathroom was the stars. So maybe it was a restroom and an observatory.
Love it.
Exercise
I like
the demons.
This
That's
is
mine.
this
I
is
just
way
don't
out of
know.
bound. Heretic.
You know what?
Heresy.
Orion
You think
Orion
I
didn't have a
saw that?
belt
I
for
read
no
it.
reason. Okay.
Right?
Orion's got a belt.
The Ryerson belt,
Think about
the
it.
pillar, the
A belt.
other pillar had a belt. I see the guy. Yeah,
Mhm.
I could think about that.
Oh
But
man.
I stick to more observatory, but maybe they had to use it as a bathroom while they were looking at stars. Maybe that's the way that we
The
just
vultures,
kind of work it together. Yeah, the vultures.
the vultures in your vulture stone are squatting.
The vultures and vulture stone might be a constellation. We'll do that one in the next time.
Ah,
There's
like it.
only two people that have been on this show that have made my face hurt, and it's Akashi, Chris, and Grant with the fakies, and Flair pretty much every time that my face hurts from laughing. Oh my goodness, that was
Wow.
great. Thank you so much, man.
Yes.
Great job,
You're welcome.
Stephen Greer, Flair, our very own Kev.
Fantastic.
Deb,
Deb actually introduced her topic, and
Yeah, we didn't get to it.
well,
No, I did
kind
my
of. It was
topic.
my fault. It was my fault, Deb. I said you could introduce it, but really your time was for responding to Akashi's topic. But we'll
But
give you both now. So would you like
okay,
to
well,
respond to
Yes,
her
ma'am.
and then kick it
uh,
off?
okay, yeah, because
Now I understand. Okay.
I thought I'd already gotten to respond, but I definitely had something else I wanted to say that I was going to add that I was jealous because if ancient civilizations were being helped, in any way by visitors, why are we not getting that help now? And this is something I've thought of a few times. Like, why do we not have that direct help? Like, do they just so far from trusting us right now that they don't want to? That's something that I've considered a few times. That was the only other thing I was going to try to add. But I mean, I do think, there's the potential to go along the theory that, like the Atlanteans kind of theory that there was an ancient civilization. It's also part of that crypto-terrestrial concept that we may have had a common ancestor, right? That
Mhm.
evolved, separated from us, and hid from us, which is an odd thing to think about too. Like, why would they do that? So it's just, it's tough to brainstorm. You really wonder, and you wish you could be back there and be a part of that. But yeah, I actually thought that I was presenting my topic earlier. And that's why I was talking about the beacon and the energy. And I was sort of addressing the fact that I think that we're kind of like antenna.
Deb, I apologize. We got really confused because of the technological issues. We had to jump around. Normally, what would happen was you see the circle that you're seeing right here is that Flair would have given his topic, and then you would have responded, and then you would have given yours, and I would have responded, and I would have given mine, and Nathan, etc. Well, we got jumbled up, so I apologize. I didn't realize that you were giving your topic. So anyway, it's interesting that your topic goes right into Nathan's topic and ties right into it. Personally, I think the Atlanteans theory, or the theory that there's another sort of a race of people like us, but they're hiding somewhere like under the water or in the earth that are 21st century like us, that are procreating, so on and so forth. That's kind of a little bit too far for me, but possibly the future us or something. I can sign on to that theory. But it's a very interesting topic, and I think that they obviously they have to take a very close look at what we're doing and make a decision as to going back in, because you're in Nathan's point kind of ties together as to what they would want to share with us. And I yield the balance of my time to Nathan.
Cool. Yeah. So, Deb, the biofield thing was really interesting. And there's a lot that kind of comes to mind from that. So think of it like this too. So like if we do have a biofield, which, as you suggested, some science has started to take a look at, and it kind of emanates around us. If we're within any kind of proximity of that field with one another, our fields may have some sort of coherence or linkage or connectivity. What if we're like able to network in a way where we're kind of not even aware that we are? What if we're having that kind of, you've all been like in a meeting where you're kind of having that like mind sync with people and you're like getting onto the same page. Or if you spend enough time with the same people, you start getting onto the same page and you kind of complete each other's sentences, and so what's really going on there beyond just that kind of shared time together and shared language that you sort of build? Is there really something that's happening below the surface? And two, I guess our quantum science is now sort of saying that material reality doesn't really exist, so there's not really, there's no physical matter, there's really just kind of vibration at the core sort of nature of what is real. And so if that's true, then these constructs that, that you and I and the table and, we're all kind of separate things, really, that's not actually true in any way, shape or form. So we're, borrowing from Donald Hoffman, we're kind of, we've built these sort of senses to navigate through life. Like they've allowed us to to get through the perils that exist out in the world, but they're not actually representations of what is really real. And so these effects that we're seeing, these biofields or whatnot, they may be a hint at that deeper reality that we're just now starting to uncover. And it's really, I think it's a cool time to be alive to where our quantum science is starting to kind of bring into our regular science these notions that for so long have been, kind of out there in our spiritual traditions, but not in our scientific ones. And so we're kind of now actually looking at those spiritual things again with fresh eyes and saying, hey, maybe our ancient ancestors really knew something. They couldn't articulate it in the way that our science could do so now, but they were in tune with it in a very powerful way. And we're maybe just now coming around to that.
And what's interesting, what Nathan said, Akashi, when you talk about vibrations, we're back to frequency again. And when we're back to frequency, then we're talking about, we could possibly be talking about bioelectrics. So we'll get to that stuff in the go back portion, because we're finding a lot of synthesis in one another's points. So you respond to Deb, how?
Yeah, Chris, that's your time, I think. Yeah.
Oh, is it my time? I didn't know. Like,
I said Chris.
Oh, I'm like, okay, I don't know who you're talking to. So Deb, so back to one point that you were talking about. Now I want to kind of expand on it. So as far as the hub is concerned, it's like if we're all hubs to this major network connection, then that definitely goes right along with everything else, and kind of aligns in a little bit different way, but still with all the other protocols that we're talking about. Because whether it's through consciousness, or, if there is a physical connection that's sitting underneath that conscious connection, then there's your hub. We're the hub. Each one of us, everything in our bodies, everything around us, is part of it. Right. So am I kind of off on that, where you were talking about the hub? And I can't answer a back and forth question. So I'll just.
Well, you could yield some of your time to Deb.
Yes, yeah. Deb, can you tell me a little bit about the hub concept?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I've heard the term hub yet, so I'm curious about the origins of that, right? But I think that's kind of what we are, like little batteries, or like, just when you break it down, we're just like little atoms connected by electricity. So that's just so fascinating to me. And I wonder why it is, if that's the case, when electricity is gone, when we pass away, why don't we just break apart? Like, it's so fascinating. I'd like to understand a little bit more about that, It's just a lot going on.
Hilarious, Kevin.
Oh, come off mute, Kev.
Unmute, Kevy. There.
Okay. Serious question for Deb. So how do you think this may tie in with mental illness? Maybe. Do you think maybe a connection is severed, or not getting through all the way? I'm wondering, what's your take on that?
There could be a lot of possibilities. I suppose one could be that someone's too connected to this, right? And that they're not ready to be. And they're having a cognitive dissonance with facing it.
Sensory overload.
Yeah, an overload. Like, they are confused. And maybe some of the people that have been treated like there was something wrong with them were more connected to this basic primal part of ourselves than other people. Like, I'm thinking of, in history, I can't remember her name. Was it Cassandra, with the prophet, who was running around telling everyone something bad was going to happen, and no one wanted to believe her, and she was judged as crazy. And then even Joan of Arc, right? Same thing, judged as crazy.
Yeah.
So.
What? Okay.
Yeah, you still
no,
got,
continue.
45 seconds. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, keep going. No, I can cede my time to the next person.
No, you still got 30 more after this red thing, so keep going.
Okay. Go ahead, Dad.
Oh, okay.
Tell me.
If you had if you had something else to say, but if not, then it is my turn to respond to Deb?
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I responded to Deb. So you were the last one. So now
Go backs time.
it's time for go backs. So, you know, I'll start with, we'll just go in the same order that we've been going. So, I'll just say, you know, we've all connected on a bunch of different points. Obviously, Kev's was a really funny part about what Akashi was talking about. But, you know, maybe there are other uses for these spaces than what we thought. We really don't know anything. We don't know if they've received help. We just don't know how they were able to build these structures. And we can't figure it out today how they would have gotten them up there. Also, the bicontinental symbols of an H, which you said is Orion's belt.
No, that was actually on a belt in one of the pillars within Göbekli Tepe. On the belt, you see that sign over and over again.
That looked
But
like
it's
a
not-
star.
It is on a physical structure. It's not Orion's belt.
Okay, I thought it said it looked like a certain star. Okay,
It looks like a binary star, but that's within the Cygnus constellation.
of course, one of my favorite ones. What
How
I was
dare
gonna,
you.
what I was going to say though, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how, you know, how we're able to transmit our consciousness or to zero in on someone else and zero in on the space, and we're coming up with vibrations and we're coming up with frequencies, and that's what radios are. So I'm wondering if that's what they're using. I don't know. The only way that we'd be able to sort of test that out is, like I said, if we did an experiment that was outside of Earth's orbit and see if we can see what an astronaut might be doing on the moon. Then we could say, oh, wait a minute. If they can remote view on the moon, then that means this could happen anywhere. And that would really open up the discussion. So hopefully they're going to do an experiment like that. That's the only go back I had. Nathan, what do you have, sir?
Yeah, well, I do love that there was a lot of overlap in our topics like that. That's really cool to see, and it doesn't surprise me too much, given kind of the conversations that we've been having. But there's just so much mystery here. We often hear the example of, what if we took an iPhone or something and put it back into the Middle Ages? They wouldn't know what to do with it. They'd kind of think it was a polished rock or something. But similarly, the same concept of these structures, that we're looking at, like we don't know how they made them, So they don't seem as technological as our iPhones, but they also are technological in ways that we don't understand. So they create these kinds of ripple effects in the way that we behave. For all we know, they catalyzed a lot of specific scientific discovery, that eventually led to these iPhones. With regard to kind of remote viewing, one of the things that they talk about in the literature is that it seems to be something that may transcend both space and time. So there's, the very best remote viewers seemingly could remote view the past and the future. And, so that tells us something about the nature of time itself. And then, so I think all of these sort of things really point to a deeper mystery that we're not, it's funny because when you're younger and you're exposed to the knowledge of your day, you think, hey, we've got a lot of stuff figured out, particularly in our 21st century world. We seem to have answers to a lot of pressing questions. And we think, oh, our science is doing a pretty good job. But I think what this is telling us is, the older that I get anyway, the more I discover how little we really know. And, there's just so much in the vast universe left to kind of stumble across. And what we're doing right now, I mean, think of it this way. At one point in the future, what we're doing now will look just the same as, two people rubbing sticks together or something, trying to make a fire. Like it's just, so, it's really something that I think is fun to consider. And hopefully it does encourage all of us to kind of, dream and push these theories forward. And then the last thing I'll say, really quickly on this is that, on my point with alien technology, it's always fascinated me that the accounts of the aliens that we hear about, they're all very kind of monocultural. And so I think about that with respect to this technology transfer. You wouldn't give a technology to a culture unless you knew exactly what they were going to do with it, how they were going to behave with it. We are not monocultural as human beings on the planet Earth. We have a lot of different belief systems, priorities, political systems. So what if we have to become monocultural in order for us to be able to share in this type of technology? What if our behaviors have to be basically predictable or homogenous, such that these others know exactly how we're going to behave with these powerful tools?
Nathan, I just got one thing I'd like to take around the table because you just made me think of it and I forgot all about it. In the piece I read from that on that Columbia University, Pat Price saw a spot and he said, "Oh, there are 2 water towers there." And the guy comes back and goes, "He was wrong about that. There's no water towers." Of course, they said, "Well, in 1919, there was 2 water towers there." Mm-hmm. So I ask you, and I'll ask Akashi and Flarius and Debs, does that change for you at all, the fact that they could see into the past? So if you were to say the fact that he could see something that's not there anymore means what?
That the time is a kind of an illusion. Like it's like a construct that we have. Like it's, whatever has been or will be or is, like it actually always is. Like there's no sequence to it. Like it just exists as a thing, almost like a singular object.
Chris.
So that's an interesting one because I kind of tend to think, if you change, if the present, the past, and the future are happening at the same time, how do the timelines change if somebody tries to really get in the middle and change something? And maybe that's why they don't. Maybe that's why things stay away, because those timelines are precious. Or maybe there are multidimensional and there are multiple timelines. I'm trying to figure out.
The question I'm asking is, if they could see something that used to be there, does that change your thought about the process of remote viewing, by the fact that he could, during this remote viewing session, he saw something that used to be there but isn't there now?
It doesn't. I mean, how does it change it?
I don't know.
We look at stuff right now. We're finding things right now in the ancient, back to the examples that I was showing. We're finding things right now that we didn't even know existed like 50, 60, 70 years ago that have been here for 12,000 years. So, I mean, from a remote viewing perspective, I mean, if you can go into the past, future, you can see it all. And there have been remote viewing examples about Mars. So, I mean, there are examples of people already doing that. So, I mean, it doesn't change anything to me that I can't see it now, because you either trust it or you don't.
No, I mean, like I'm curious if he's connecting with that spot, and somehow he's zeroing in on that spot and he's connecting with that piece of Earth, and he's seeing what's there.
What's there, but it wasn't.
But yeah, that used to be there. Like he can see, if he's connecting with that spot, then he's saying, "Oh wow, there's something here," even though it's not there any there, but its presence is still there. Its imprint on that space remains, even though the physical object is gone. Just like if we took a bridge pillar out of the ground, you would say, well, the bridge pillar's not there, but I could see where it used to be.
Yeah.
And is that object in the past aware of him doing it? So if you were to go back into the past as that object and he's remote viewing it from the future, would you sense him remote viewing that object in the past? In other words, like some people that have experiences of others and abductions, what if you're experiencing a future you interacting with you in the present?
Well, if you can bend space and time,
I mean, it would depend. Has he been to that spot? So there's a bunch of there's a lot of variables in there. It's gonna be hard to isolate, but it's an interesting question. I'm wondering, is he connecting through that person, So they said to him, I want you to connect with this person 30 minutes from now. All right, so 30 minutes now, and we're on. Now he's connecting with that person, but through that person, they're connecting with the location that it's in, and somehow he's seeing what was historically there. Somehow, through that individual that he was asked to follow. And then in another case, obviously, he was given grid coordinates and did not a past, but a present. So very interesting. Anyway, I don't want to take any more time away from Hilarious Kevin, because that would be a miscarriage of justice. Give me the data. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do I have a question for you, or do I get to share my stuff?
You can say
Basically
whatever you
anything.
like.
Yeah, anything. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to share another picture. I got more proof about my
Fantastic.
little theory. Okay. All right. Here we go.
You just wait, Nathan. He's going to show you.
I think it's his duty to share this with us.
It is. Dude, did you say duty?
I did.
He said duty.
So here we go. We've got here. We've got here two circular. Obviously, they look like bodies. I mean, right? Come on now. These were found at Gobekli Tepe. Yet more proof. This is a bathroom. Okay.
Yep.
In here, picture here, we've got on the toilet. On this picture, we have an animal on a toilet. It's like frozen in time, right? Frozen in time.
Could be separated at birth.
Isn't that amazing?
Uncanny.
Why do I feel sorry for Akashi Chris right now? Why is that happening?
Because I might have to change my banner, which is Gobekli Tepe, which is now a bathroom.
Claire is making a mockery of this historically important site.
That is my happy.
But it's the most well-kept facility.
Oh,
in the
no,
ancient
I mean,
world. Let's put it
bathrooms
that
are
way.
important.
Oh my God, there we go. There's proof it's on. Oh,
Here we got, right. Look at this. Vulture stone, right? You've got them squatting, right? And what are this build up underneath them that clearly looks suspicious? You go over here to this one. I mean, come on. Clearly using the bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean,
The evidence
right
is
there.
incontrovertible.
I'm going to have to change my entire presentation. And
Nathan, you couldn't pay for this kind of comedy. You just can't.
You can't.
And you've ruined it for her. I hope you're happy, Kevin.
Michael Beckley.
I ruined it for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yes,
You know.
he did.
Wait, Gobekli TP,
Oh my God.
right?
Well,
Gobekli Tepe.
Even the name Gobekli.
Is
What
that where you're going?
was it? Navel? Didn't the name have something
Yeah,
to do
I
with the
don't know.
navel?
I'm just
Looks
asking
like-
questions.
It is the hill of the navel because it's supposed to be the navel
Exactly.
of the human eyesight. You
The
know, that's-
navel.
Deb, are you wondering what the hell did I sign up for? Is that what you're thinking right now?
I'm going to take the fifth on that, but I am trying to contextualize. I am.
Yes.
I am.
I got a little bit more.
The cats go Beckley poopy.
Okay, Deb, it's Deb's turn. Go ahead, Debs.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do some contextualizing. Okay, so what I'm seeing is we've been talking about two major things, and they are connected. One is the primal history, and I don't want to say primal in a way like we weren't sophisticated or intelligent or whatever, because we were awesome, but the primal history of mankind, right? Mixed with our understanding of consciousness and the energy and remote viewing, and the possibility that in history we understood all of that better. And I keep thinking about the three things that I keep saying are connected: religion, magic, and science. And they continue, even in this conversation, to show how connected they are, right? And I was also thinking about coming back to some things, you know, because it's my turn to do that. One thing I wanted to come back to was whether or not psychologically we are capable of accepting what an outside civilization may want to present to us, and whether or not that would be an issue, because we stand by the religion, the science, and the magic, and though our ancestors may have been able to mix those together, nowadays people are so resistant to mixing those three together. So in context, to go to Nathan's question, would they want to come hang out with us if we can't put those back together again? Because I'm sure, that if they're more advanced than us, they're cool with it all being together. And some people have said our ancestors were already able to do that. So that's how I wanted to contextualize everything.
Nice.
Yeah, Debs, I mean, I think that's that's such an open question that you raised that answers the most important question is not who are they and where are they from. The most important question is why are they here? Or an amalgam, what do they want? Why are they here? That's the most important question. The second most important question is where are they from? And then, okay, what's your name? My name's Steve, whatever. Steve Greenstreet, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I mean that's a very good question, and it gets back to Nathan's comportment theory, and do they want to connect with something like this? And if they did, Nathan is not sure that he's going to trust whatever they might say if they do make verbal contact with us.
I'm going to chime in and just say that, they could be the reason we had toilets and bathrooms. So
Absolutely.
Flair,
Master
you have
Design.
ruined it. I'm sure Akashi's going to have words for you after the show. Nobody's going to hear it, but you guys are going to have words. That's all there is to it. Yes. 3 demerits for Slytherin over there. So anyway. But no, that's a great point, and I think that's everybody. We've all had our go backs at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just tie two things together here?
Yeah.
Because the more it is so funny to see all of our different approaches to topics that aren't necessarily totally aligned, but they turned out to be.
They
Because
did.
we're talking about ancient civilizations that were maybe so in tune with the earth and the environment and the use of the resources in a different way that we can't. Yet, and that goes into the consciousness. They were very in tune. Maybe they could do things that we can't because they were so in tune.
And here's what we're going to do, Akashi. You didn't know that you're going to get a gift today, but you're actually going to get a closing statement. But we'll start with the J. Allen Hynek, the Sherlock Holmes, the big toe of this program. There he is, Dr. Nathan. Go ahead, brother.
All right, so to kind of wrap it up, I think we got about 2 minutes, but I don't think I'll take it all. But
that's kind.
Yeah. No, great conversation. And, it makes me think, too, something I've been thinking about recently, and it ties into everything that we've talked about, and that is that the awakening of our consciousness on the earth perhaps did serve as a beacon that drew other intelligences to us. So like attracts like, and consciousness attracts consciousness. So as we became more conscious, it attracted other consciousnesses to come and see us and interact with us in some ways. And that might explain the multiple kinds of interactions that we have had and can account for. And it might also mean that as our consciousness increases over time, as we kind of flex that muscle, so to speak, maybe we are manifesting things in our reality as well. So maybe we are bringing about sort of change through our collective conscious effort as we become more conscious aware in the life of our human story. So I don't know, it's just something to think about, that kind of lighthouse effect, that maybe we are drawing other things to us, and they're coming here out of curiosity and need to interact.
That's so so Outer Banks, the lighthouse effect.
Mm-hmm.
Akashi, thank you, Nathan. Akashi, Chris.
I already kind of said my wrap up, except for, the whole consciousness piece is just so much to it, and we need to look into, we need to dig into, because I think we're all hitting it from totally different approaches, but it's the same thing. And there's something there's something in the universe that allows us to have these communications. It's not BS, it's real. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, love, Forrest Mullins. And thank goodness for my work. Actually, he's a workout partner of mine and Nathan, James Indoli, for making us think about consciousness. So thank you, James. Keep lifting, brother. Flarius, Kevin, your closing statement, sir.
Well, all in all, I think what Gobekli was trying to tell us is that we need to, stop letting go of our past. Don't hold in anything, right? Anything uncontrollable, you got to let go of. Just so it doesn't explode. You don't want anything to explode. Anywhere you're at, it's bad. Definitely bad.
More roughage in the diet and vegetables and grains. I think
Right.
I think I see where you're
Great,
going.
they did. They ate a lot of grains. They found grain silos there. Old grain silos. I'm just kidding.
I think for a long
right,
there, the whole bathroom was an analogy, right?
love
I
it.
thought it was an analogy. I thought it was brilliant.
No, it was a bathroom.
Okay.
Next time when I go to North Carolina, I'm going to bring Nathan some of Kati's green juice. That'll
There we go.
definitely.
Oh, God.
But anyway, Deb, my dear lady, I'm sure Flair had many other fascinating things to say, but it's your turn.
Okay, so I just wanted to say it was really fun to explore humanity because I think that was the bottom line in what we were doing today, exploring our capabilities historically and within ourselves and within our conscious and our collective conscious, which there's science behind, by the way, which is really interesting, and our ability to even perhaps reach to different places and times, or even possibly different dimensions, DJ. So it's really interesting. I think that's the underlying theme of what we were talking about ultimately, exploring our humanity and understanding it better. And perhaps the more we are able to do that, the more we'll be able to engage with another civilization that probably has already had this conversation 1,000 years ago. So, okay.
Interesting. There is a author who did a book on breath work. His name is Dan something. I can't remember his name. But he talked about a yogi that could raise the temperature of individual fingers. So there's a lot of control over, and that's just, with his breathing and so there's a lot of control. I guess, we know that consciousness exists, but we don't know how to necessarily measure it or how to. The people that do know how to actualize it are maybe the remote viewers, people like James and folks that can do what he can do, or folks that can remote view. But for a lot of us, we don't know how they do it. We know that they do it. So that's what's fascinating to me. On the other part, I was thinking about something that Nathan said about, and it made me think of singularity, and singularity, Mike. Hey, Mike, how you doing, brother? One of the scary things about singularity is that we will be able to do that. Is that at some point I could be in Hong Kong and call Nathan with my mind because it's like going to be a chip in there. So I think it's a de-evolution in a way of what we are, because we won't have to work so hard to manifest something, because basically I'm going to use my mental cell phone and call Nathan, but without the device. You hear Elon Musk talk about that. You're not, that thing is it now, but you won't have that. It'll be in here. So I kind of see that. And when I think about singularity, I think about what, in one way, what a negative thing it is from that standpoint, that we'll lose the ability to communicate in that way. But in a positive sense, when you look at a planet that has a limited amount of resources, if everybody's saying, we just got to have more people, we're going to eat more meat, we're going to knock down more trees, eventually there's not going to be any left, unless you can just, somehow synthetically grow nature. Eventually we'll, if we keep acting I don't know, say if acting is the way we do. If we procreate and consume as we are, we'll outgrow this space, which is why they're trying to work on Mars. So So that's a positive thing about singularity if you want to go that way, where your life isn't devoted to, I have to carry on my name, which is what we think about when we hit puberty. So anyway, deep thoughts from DJ. Never thought it would happen. Anyway, it was fantastic to do a cabbie-only episode. It won't be the last one. It was only the first one. And it was great to, it's probably the first time that the entire team, that you guys have gotten to see us, what we do on Signal or this medium here when we have meetings. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We love hashtag UFO Twitter. We want to shout out PAWS Rescue, PAWS in Middle Georgia, Tia Pike. She's someone where also each of these individuals that you see on screen will also bring on their own nonprofits that we want to talk about in these 30-second spots on the show. But if you want to check out at PAWS in Mid-GA, you can see them on Instagram. You can see them on Twitter by that same handle. And she has quite a prolific Facebook. She's a brand new 501(c) nonprofit rescue. And yeah, in the coming weeks, you'll see one from Nathan, Akashi, Kevin, and Deb. So for all of the aforementioned, for Money Nathan, for our associate producer, the lovely and the amazing and dedicated Akashi Chris, for my spirit animal, the incredibly funny, hilarious Kevin that I wish I was as funny as he is, and for the studious one, the one who motivated Akashi Chris to stay up till 3 a.m. researching, our very own Debs from Gryffindor at a study of UAPs. For Nathan, Chris, Kev, Deb, DJ saying, peace out, one love. We'll see you down the road. This group's always wondering what's up around that bend.
Peace.